Is your recorder on? Your audio recorder?
That on now. Alright. Silence that fucker. There we go. Whatever. Vibrate. It works. Alright, no more interruptions. Alright. We're just gonna start fucking all over.
It's fun.
I have no idea what I said in the beginning, but I don't care. Alright. So, today with me, my guest Ed. I've been on his podcast. I've decided to do my own podcast with people that have a passion out of their 9-to-5 day. It could be multitudes of anything. Ed here happens to be a musician friend of mine. And I'm going to let him talk about his passion for a little bit. And we're going to enjoy cigars and scotch. And
hey, I'll toast to that, right?
All right.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for coming and doing this with me.
Heck yeah, no problem. And thanks for the cigars,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Appreciate that.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we're going to talk music, where should I start? Where do you want me to start?
What got you into it? Okay, we all have that, like for instance, the first time I realized that I wanted to actually play up in front of people, because, you know, as a kid you kind of learn how to play music, this and that, but, you know, everybody's a closet guitar player, this type thing. So, growing up, I think I was like 13 years old, and my first concert was Stain and Godsmack, and seeing that show was like, yeah, that's what I want to do every single day. I don't, but I mean, that was the goal when I was a kid. You know, that was my getting into music, going and playing in front of people and all that type of stuff. So tell me your experience of what got you into getting into music and getting up there and playing in front of people.
That's a good question. So I went to that same concert, and we may have talked about that on my podcast before too. I remember that, and you were 13, and then, what's our age difference again?
You're 34,
Four.
So 2-year difference between us.
2-year difference.
I'll be 33 this year.
So I remember being at the Wireless Center, or the Mark. It would have been
the Mark. It was the Mark, yep.
And now it's, of course, Tax Slayer. But basically, you got a friend coming down.
Don't mind the cat, guys.
Yeah. So I remember that same concert. For me, it wasn't so much that that's what got me into guitar playing. Even though I do remember that. I feel like I may have just started playing at that time. I think the biggest thing for me was that back... should we get him?
Alright. Yeah. I'm not stopping this. Everybody's gonna watch it.
So we're gonna go... he's getting the dude. The dude or dude? The dude.
The dude.
Like Big Lebowski, the dude, right? One of my... respect, you know, one of my favorite movies of all time. And this is just some awkward, you know, dead time. We're bringing in the dude. The dude's here. The dude abides.
Back. Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. So now that the dude's in, we're kind of complete though, right?
Yeah, we're complete.
Everybody's in the room.
All the animals, well, just about.
Yeah.
One's off straggling somewhere, but that's okay. They can run and do whatever.
So I'll back up a little bit. So besides that concert that I went to as well, back when it used to be called the Mark, I remember that was like Systematic, Cold, Stained, and Godsmack.
Yep.
And I don't know, I feel like maybe that time I was just starting to play guitar. Maybe it was just after that, but that wasn't the reason. I remember basically having my dad who had an acoustic. And the reason he had an acoustic and he didn't play it a whole lot was because he I think he sold a motorcycle he had because my stepmom told him he needed to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So he was like, fine, I'll just buy an acoustic. Right, dude? The dude? And basically he bought that acoustic and he just sat around and strummed it a little bit here and there. He really didn't even learn that much. I think he had the what was the brand, the books that they made that everybody had back in the day. The little paperback flip books that had guitar lessons.
Mel Baines.
It was something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but basically he had
I know
one of those.
there was like Alfred, Mel Baines. Those would have been the paper ones. But other than that, I'm lacking on what they actually have, because I come from the different side where I didn't look at that. You know,
Well, this is what my dad had, basically,
yep.
right? So
the manuscript almost like
just the basics.
Basics, you know, might
Yeah.
show you the picture, you know, where you need to position your fingers, and that's about it. and how to strum a couple of G chords, C chords, and an A chord.
And that's basically what my dad did. He basically had this acoustic, which was an Alvarez he had bought. It was an Alvarez, and I can't remember which model it was. But he had this Alvarez, and he would strum drunkenly. Like he would sit in the basement and just chill, and he was just hanging out and play the same 2 or 3 chords over and over and over again, and kind of make up his own little songs to it.
There you go.
And basically
You guys are horrible guests.
So he had that guitar around, and I can't even remember for sure if that truly was like what got me into it, thinking I definitely want to try to pick this up too. But I remember that in high school, and early on in high school, they had a class for guitar and piano, and basically I went into that as an easy credit.
Yeah.
And my dad had an acoustic I could use for it, because he really didn't use it unless he was chill in the basement, like I said, lit up basically. Yep. So he let me use that. And I did that for like a semester or something like that. And then I think for like a Christmas gift, it got better for me because then I got upgraded to the Squier starter pack.
Oh, there you go.
So like the Bullet, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like it was the Squier Strat Bullet model.
It should have been the Bullet, because that's what we got stuck with, is the Bullet. Now it's the Affinity. And that came
Affinity Strat. Yeah.
The Affinity Strats are now, but yeah, we used to get Bullets back in the day.
I'll double check what it was, because I still have that guitar. I don't think I ever showed you, but I ended up holding on to it just because it was my first real electric guitar.
Yeah.
And I put a bunch of stickers on it from bands that influenced me when I was starting. And those bands, I think the bands that I was listening to really helped. I was into, in my late teens, all the way into the early 20s for me, I was listening to a lot of, I call them turntable bands. So in your mind, what do you think of when turntable band?
So turntable band would be like that new metal. So like
basically
Limp Bizkit, Korn got into it a little bit. So Slipknot was kind of extreme.
So it wasn't even that for me. So it was, and not even Deftones at first, because one of my biggest influences playing guitar was Deftones early on, but that was back when there was no turntable guy. That came along when they had White Pony, as far as I remember. So I started with like Adrenaline, the album Adrenaline by Deftones, which was followed by Around the Fern, and one of the songs that I'm going to play, per Mike's request, he wanted me to play a song that was something that was influential to me when I started. So I'm going to play a Deftones song to kind of lock that in from when I started. But other than that, I can't even remember. I can't even really pinpoint. I feel like it was just maybe a combination. There was a guitar laying around. It was an easy credit in school for me to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I went with it, and it worked out. I did. It was one of those things that I became more and more passionate about, and I never learned a whole song. It was one of those things, like I think a lot of people, when they start playing guitar,
they learn parts and pieces.
Or the intros, right?
Yeah.
They learn the intros.
You learn the main lick or the intro portion of it, and then, that's about all you get. Because that's what it was when I was learning how to play guitar.
Yeah.
And I just now started learning full songs from start to finish, but I never learned it on guitar and playing, bass, doing it that way.
Right.
And, there's variation between the bass and the guitar. But, when you first start out, you learn the main lick, the intro riff, or whatever, and then you're good to go. And then that's what everybody wants to hear, though.
I know that was kind of a spread out answer, but the bottom line is that when I got started with it, it was something that was convenient and fun at the same time. And when that class I took, it was piano and guitar. So I realized that the guitar portion, let's face it, a lot of guitar players, they want to play guitar because of what?
They want to solo, or not even solo.
Think about it. Why would a lot of guys want to play guitar? If yell it out at wherever you're at right now.
Yeah, please do, because I'm at a loss right now.
It's for the ladies.
Get the ladies?
It's for the ladies.
No, guitarists don't get the ladies.
It did a little bit. It basically did a little bit for me, and that was almost not intentional, to be honest with you. It really wasn't intentional, but I remember back in high school, there would be, like, during the free period, I would
Yep.
just go to the it was in the mixed choir room, like, not the band room, but the mixed choir room is where the lessons were. So I kept my guitar in, like, the storage closet there.
Yep. You had a halo of girls around you, didn't you?
Maybe once or twice.
Maybe
It could
once or
happen.
twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and all it took, and even probably still today, which is like the Wonderwall joke almost, you know, it's if you know how to play something that's pretty popular, and even if you don't know the whole song, you can stop and they just, you know, anybody, but especially the ladies, they think that's pretty cool, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's not why I still play today, but it was one of those things early on. I'm like, oh, this actually does work.
Right. Now, see, I was the bass player, so we didn't get the women. We were the weird dude that stood off to the side and had to carry everybody's gear.
I want to be clear that the bass players can get the ladies too, especially when you're a handsome fellow like this guy, right?
Hey,
So how about cheers to that? Oh, dude, come on, cheers to that.
All right.
Yep.
So, well, you're not gonna drink it. You're gonna cheers, but not drink, huh?
You know what? 'Cause I'm like focused on.
Well,
I got two things going on at
double
once.
system.
We're drinking a Balvenie Peat Week bottle. That's a good sipping whiskey.
Very
So trying to pace myself a little bit, but I guess that's the long, busy, winding answer. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Yeah, to the point.
Yeah, to the point a little bit, and I kept going with it.
Yeah, you elaborated. That's good. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah.
We're here to fill the time that we need to with random shit.
That's okay. That's right.
Because this is about people's passions.
And that's definitely still a passion today. I'm glad I kept with it. And I feel like, I don't think the guitar or instruments are dead, but I think we may have talked about this before. It seems like kids today, and my kids included, they never really want to put the effort in, right? To keep going.
Right. Well, and it's not even to keep, like, I don't know, there's a fine line between the generations. Like, we grew up, we had video games, we had computers, not always. So when we became teenagers, we had to find something to do because most of us were just now getting internet, most of us were just getting cable.
Fucking dial up at that.
Dial up, yes, fucking 52 kilobytes per second. That's not a lot.
It's really not.
Can't download shit with that.
Yes.
I don't even know if you could even stream anything at 5K.
Yeah.
Or 512.
And by shit, I don't know what he's talking about. Just to be clear, I don't know what he downloaded back then.
Well, we won't even go into those discussions because pictures suck.
So yeah, I guess that's basically how I got started.
All right, so that's how you got started.
Yep.
So take me through kind of like your middle years to get from where you started, how you got to basically where you're at today then. Like, as far as in a timeline, you know, you obviously started playing with people and trying to branch out.
Not right away though.
Well, right, and that's what I would like everybody to hear, even including myself. You know, where's your story start of how you took it from learning how to play to start playing to where you are now? Because now you got, is it 3 projects?
Technically, basically down to 2 at this point. We'll
2.
call it down to 2.
Down to 2.
Even though there's one more show with a 3rd project that had been going on for the past few years for me. But that's a whole other story, I guess. So let's start in the middle. I'll do the middle first.
Okay.
And hopefully lead us up to the next part. So the middle part is after high school for me. I really didn't play a ton. I remember, you know, you get that gas, that gear acquisition syndrome, if you will, right? So you're just basically you're into something, you realize you can do it. I mean, not well, but I can do it. And I was really motivated to just get a couple new guitars, which I still have a couple of those.
You were gear envy.
I was so bad at it, the gear envy, the gas, the gear acquisition syndrome, that I even borrowed money from my best friend in high school, throughout grade school, through basically high school. Shout out to Aaron Ricketts, which I don't know if he'll ever watch this. He's from back in Illinois City, my hometown. But I remember even borrowing money from him because we both worked at Happy Joe's in Muscatine, and he gave me like a loan, right? And it wasn't to pay for the whole guitar, but it's like, you know, when you're starting out in high school and you don't have so much money. But for me, the guitar was, I mean, I bought some cheap Ibanez's, And I
You
mean,
bought the starters. I mean,
Well,
I still play on the starters myself. I prefer them actually to a point,
I understand.
because if I want to go up to the higher price stuff, I can start dropping things into the body, get better pickup.
Oh yeah.
Wood and all that. I mean, there are different qualities out there, but as far as getting your sound or that type of thing, if you're not worried about what type of body, what type of neck, you can get some pretty good sounds with just throwing pickups into a cheap guitar or a cheap bass. But then there comes a time where you start getting into the higher class, and they are worth their money that they are. I mean,
Some of them are. And if you remind me later if I can remember, so remind me if I forget when I get, through this story, this midway section of my guitar playing life or career or whatever you want to call it, is that I didn't even get into that until later when I was playing gigs. So it's funny, which I don't know why I never did that early on. So I would buy these inexpensive Ibanez models, Washburn model, I'm trying to remember, some randoms here and there. And basically, there was this SG, and it's not because of fucking AC/DC, which I cannot stand 80s music, and 80s music altogether, I'm not a huge fan of, and my good friends know that about me. I love some 70s and 60s stuff, but I skipped over that whole 80s decade.
The 80s hair metal was bad.
There was a lot of shit that was bad in the 80s, but then that can be said about my genre or my 90s through today. And I play 90s through today in my bands and my projects that Mike brought up, but it's only because I'm a music whore and I know that people recognize and enjoy it. So maybe in some way that's like the people that play 80s music forever, because they know there's that generation, there's that age group that still enjoys it.
Yep, there's people that it pertains to. There's an audience for it.
So
you're just not that audience. That's the audience that you're not looking for. You don't want an 80s.
And the more and more I play, the more I realize people in my age group definitely still appreciate the 90s and newer stuff, which this works out great. But
I even find out that they appreciate the 80s a little bit too much too.
some do, you're right.
Yeah,
a lot do, so and that's fine, just not for me. So this SG though, this Gibson SG, it was and I still have it. I still have it as my backup electric guitar today. It's a Gibson SG. It was a 2002 Gibson Special Faded, and it had an ebony fretboard that year, and it had that worn cherry look, and I still have this.
Nice.
And it has, instead of dot inlays, which the faded or the special models had, this actually has crescent moon inlays.
Very
and if
nice.
you haven't seen this when you're at my house, I'll show you sometime.
Yeah, you'll have to show me this one.
Basically, they only made crescent moon inlays for 2 years, 02 and 03. 02 was ebony fretboard, 03 was a rosewood fretboard. So
I remember the rosewood fretboard.
So
2003.
They ended up making more of those, I think, too.
Which would be nice. I mean, well, now rosewood's starting to become.
Ebony's the same way. It's hard to make an ebony.
Well, they're starting to crack down on manufacturers and stuff, taking all the good rare woods.
Sites, I think, is the technical law for it, where they basically make sure you're not bringing in too much endangered woods or something.
Yeah, like the Baduka or the rosewood. There's a certain rosewood that you cannot get right now, and I'm not 100% sure of what.
It's small quantities, I think, of ones like Brazilian rosewood. So
Right.
My PRS, my Paul Reed Smith, my main single cut that I play, that actually has a Brazilian rosewood fretboard and headstock veneer.
Nice.
So on the back of the headstock, and it came with paperwork for sites, it says that it can only be sold in the United States. So that guitar that I have, I cannot, if somebody bought it in Canada or Europe, I can't ship it.
Nope.
That's basically how that works.
Whatever it has to do with that wood not being able to go anywhere, but it's certified, it's recognized, and it's sold here just in America.
Well, and again, I'll have to look it up, and maybe we can look this up afterwards too, but I feel like it's certain amounts can be imported every year of that Brazilian rosewood.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I guess this SG though, it's an 02 SG. I had my friend loan me some money just so I could pay for it. And this was, if you're familiar with Muscatine, it used to be called Muskie Music.
Yep, I remember Muskie Music.
So I bought all those guitars back in the day from Muskie Music, and I knew the guys, or a couple of the guys that worked there. And this, shout out to Mark Weigler. I'm pretty sure I bought this one from you. And Mark Weigler was big in the Muscatine area for playing guitar. So I bought this, and that was like the guitar. That was the one that never even got played. It didn't come with a hard case, so I even bought the hard case at some point for it too.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I had that to keep it nice and protected. So when I started, so I had that. That was like the start, the SG. After I paid my friend back, of course. That was like the start of, well, I'm not gonna be able to afford another one. And that was back then. I think it was like $700 to $800, and I think they're still close to around 1,000 today for the special fadeds.
Yeah.
That was the most expensive one I bought, and I kept up with the cheap, inexpensive guitars. So more Ibanez and buy, sell, and trade or whatever through the years.
Yep.
And it was one of those things too, where before I was in bands. And I would have to say, past high school, I don't think I was even in my first actual band playing until I may have been 24 or 25. And I remember, and leading up to that point, again, just riffs, just intros.
Yep.
Friends were over, lady friends enjoyed it too, and just to be able to play through anything like that was pretty exciting for anybody to watch. It's funny because not a lot of people that I knew growing up knew how to play guitar. I influenced my best friend that I told you.
Yeah.
He ended up buying an LTD electric guitar because he was so motivated by me buying and playing. He bought one. I don't know if it ever went anywhere with him. And then another friend, Brian Koopman, was on one of my podcasts. He later, but he bought some guitars too. I don't know if he still plays today. I'll have to catch up with him on that. So I influenced a few on the way. Bought a bunch of guitars, learned some riffs just for the shits and giggles, played it at parties,
Yep.
I mean, I think I had a cheap acoustic.
Just to carry along with you.
You know what? I totally forgot one thing that I have to backtrack on, and hopefully we're okay for time and everything like that.
We got plenty of time.
So the basic situation is that I forgot a big influence. I got a call shot. My dad drunkenly played a little bit, like the basic chords, not really wanting to further himself. I had a stepdad. My parents divorced when I was born. My mom remarried a guy who did play guitar, and he played guitar well, because he had played all growing up.
Right.
So when I went to go hang out with my mom during the summer months, like an extra week or something during the summer months or whatever it was, he would play, and I was so inspired by him. And he introduced me to a band that I'm going to cover a song for this podcast in a little bit, called Collective Soul.
Okay.
And so Collective Soul, I think, really was a huge inspiration watching somebody like him play or be, digging those songs. And he played like Zeppelin, and he had a Les Paul, and I can't remember which Les Paul it was, but I remember he had a Les Paul he bought from this guy that used to play bars in his area that it was old, worn, heavy, the classic Les Paul.
Oh yeah,
But the guy he bought it from, if I remember correctly, he put a Bigsby tremolo system on it.
Yeah.
And then ended up taking it off later. So this old Les Paul, this still sounded really good, had like these holes that were like filled up where the Bigsby was, and then went against. They took it off because they didn't like it.
Yep.
Which was kind of cool. So that was a big inspiration. His name was Bob Armstrong, and he really inspired me to take it to the next level, I guess. And that deserves to be said in there somewhere. And I know I'm rambling, but so that's the basis of the midsection. The inspiration started with my dad, kept going because I enjoyed doing it, and it was kind of fun. I knew I could do it to some degree. It turned into a hobby because I wasn't playing in bands yet.
Yep.
And in the midsection, my stepdad really pushed me to keep me going.
Yep.
And when I was playing, and remember I said turntable bands? It wasn't just turntable bands. Like my favorite bands, I remember, were Deftones and Incubus, and listened to some 311. Not a ton of it, but I think the real turning point, if I remember correctly, was there was a New Year's Eve party that I was at the Brew in Muscatine. And my friend Matt Kurz, he had been playing his whole life. I don't know if you know Matt Kurz or not.
No, it sounds familiar though.
So he and his brother plays bass and stuff too, but basically I was hanging out with him at a New Year's Eve party at the Brew in Muscatine, and he's like, hey, he knew what I played, right? He's like, hey, I'm putting this, we want to get together, be in a band with me, and I had played some acoustic stuff with him.
Yeah.
For the fun of it before too, and I think one show even in Muscatine somewhere, like where it's Wine Nuts now. I can't remember what that place used to be called, or maybe it was Wine Nuts back then. I joined a band with him, And when I joined that band, we played one show at the Brew, opened for Mark Wagler's band, that guy that I told you I bought the SG from, and I can't remember what his band name was at the time. And that's kind of where it took off. And I also met Barry Lefevre, who was a drummer, and then we realized we didn't enjoy the music that Matt Kurz was having us play. Sorry, Matt, that he was picking for us to play, because some of it was newer, like Collective Soul and Gin Blossoms, like the 90s and newer stuff. But the other stuff was like the older stuff, not even 80s, but like 70s and 60s stuff that I didn't like. And also there was a Cure song, so that'd be technically 80s.
Yeah.
I hated that song. I think it was Something I'm in Love or whatever. But anyway, that's how much I care. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
I know people are probably be pissed watching this because a lot of people love the Cure, right?
Fuck the Cure. That's all. Fuck the Cure. That's all I gotta say.
That's why I like Mike.
You know what?
He's a good guy.
We still got a whole generation of teenagers that want to be emos, and that's on top of their playlist. Cure was not emo.
So I had that gig. This is still, I don't even consider this where the band thing really took off, but I was in this band with Matt, where I met my drummer friend Barry. We didn't like the music. We liked newer, harder rock stuff. And the 90s stuff we played again because we feel like, people recognize it.
Yeah, that's the generation that we grew up in. That's the crowds we were trying to pertain to.
I've got videos I'm going to show you. Me and Barry decided that we want to do our own thing because we weren't quite happy with the mix we were playing with Matt.
Yeah.
And his wife was playing bass at the time. She got pregnant, Nikki Kurz did, which is cool. Not to give all this away. I don't know if I'll ever get back to them. So his brothers played bass for that one show at the Brew. Basically, because they were having their first kid. It wasn't going to work out anyway. Matt and his wife, because we were practicing at their house. And me and Barry did our own thing, man. We practiced and jammed, and we ended up meeting our first singer, Ryan Espy, through countless auditions. We were playing like 3 Days Grace, and we were playing a lot of newer stuff too that we really liked. Both of us, 10 Years, if you've heard of that band.
Yep, 10 Years is a good one.
So basically, that's where it really started, I feel like. And that was my first band, and it was called Autumn Falls. And we...
Autumn Falls?
Yeah. And I've got videos somewhere.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, we played it even like the Brew, or not the Brew, but Ribco a couple of times.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen that name come across Billboard.
Well, I've still got the Ribco big old poster they put out in front.
Yep.
The first time we played there, I went back the next day. I'm like, hey, can I have that? Because it was like the end of the month.
Oh yeah, no, trust me. Anytime that I did that with my band, since we're name dropping here, Barry Twite, hell yeah, I'd go get anything. Like, so when we started traveling out and doing regional, I wouldn't call it national, but regional.
Yeah.
So we go around the Midwest and whatnot. And we played up in Wisconsin at the Raid Ballroom. And it ended up not being what it was supposed to be, but we opened the show. We were the first band to play.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I want a fucking name on the flyer. Yeah. It's like you go and you look, and they give you stuff, for your tickets and all that stuff. And they give you a flyer, and it don't have your name on it. It just says Devil Driver and Napalm Death.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm out there looking. I'm like, I'm getting pissed because I want something with my fucking name on it.
Yeah.
Don't find nothing. It's just all about Napalm and Devil Driver. Which, okay, cool, but all these local bands would open up and play in between sets or whatnot. So my vocalist at the point in time was like, well, fuck it, I'll just make us a big fucking flyer and go get it printed professionally. So we have our flyer, because we had to hand out shit, sell tickets and whatnot. So yeah, we handed out a Raid Ballroom, Devil Driver, Napalm, like on hard post, like they call it card stock actually.
Yeah.
So card stock flyers is what we handed out. Man, we made back our $300 and then some. But,
that's cool. Yeah.
Going and having that experience and it not being what it was, and then telling you have 45 minutes to play, and then you really only had 20. Like, it was a shit show. But best experience of my life.
Heck yeah, just be able to do that. Like anytime you can tour, right, at all, or do something where you
I mean, because as being like local band, you don't tour like per se. You might go travel out somewhere. Like,
oh, okay.
So any of the bands that I played around with, the ones that are still around today, they go out like one guy. He's actually my cousin's husband. they play in a band called Still Standing. Well, they got EPs out. They don't tour per se, but they go out and they play shows in other states and this and that.
That's cool.
And because they all work, you know.
That's what you guys did.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that we did. You know, if somebody wanted us to come up and play in Dubuque, we would drive to Dubuque and to be there. Or say, hey, come over to here in Illinois. You know, you weren't really touring like a big band tours. All right, we're good.
Back again?
We're back again.
Back again.
All right. So, as I was saying, you know, we didn't really travel out. We did, but not touring wise.
Yeah.
But when we throw shows on here in the local Quad Cities, I mean, just the band that I was in, we brought bands from California that were coming through. We brought bands from Washington that were coming through. And the one band that will always stick with me is called I Declare War.
Yep.
And we were playing down in 3rd and Fillmore. I don't know if you know Davenport. Okay,
Not really well, but
3rd and Fillmore, that first area you have is just a gravel pit. So that's where we played, man.
Oh, cool.
Fucking in a gravel pit. Well, we had this band come out of Washington. Their van broke down. And it's like, well, fuck it. You know, I was like, here's my cut of the show to get you guys fucking home, you know, or get your van fixed or whatever.
Nice.
And, well, and that's what you do in a community of music, you know, that type of thing. Like,
Sure.
I had no idea. I met these guys for the first time when they actually just showed up.
Yeah.
You know, like we had discussed, and they're like, yeah, we're coming through. You know, this is when we're going to be here. If we could get a session, you know, whatever set. We had a set, they showed up, gave their little spiel about the band breaking down. I gave them my cut regardless of whatever it was. You know, they gave me a nice sad sob story that they can't fucking make it on. But what it entailed is not only did I give my cut, other bands started giving their cuts because somebody stood up and been like, hey, you know.
Yeah.
And I would do that to any fellow musician out there, you know, if I could in a situation, you know. I mean, I've been there, I've been in them bands where, yeah, you're out playing a show and poof, there goes all your fucking gear because somebody hooked up to your trailer and gone. It sucks.
That's fucked up.
Or you're stranded on the side of the fucking road, broke down 3 hours before a gig and you don't know what the fuck to do because you ain't got no money, you know.
Right.
There is some good people out there that do help out, but, you know, for the most part, you know, we are a community that should take care of one another.
Yeah.
And not be so prideful and be like, you know, because there are a lot of people, like in our area, and I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but a lot of the local musicians that play the cover band line of things, they all intermingle. They play with one another. They might, like, there is no qualms, no, you might have some feuds here and there or whatever, somebody trying to be bigger than what they are. You know, we all have that.
That'll never be me or what I'm in.
Well, no, I'm saying here, you know, it's like I'm my own musician. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I play the covers now, like we've been discussing the last couple of times. And it's like I don't even care how it's written down. If I can play it the way that it feels good to me, I'm gonna play it.
He sold his soul like I do all the time.
Well, I did. I sold my soul halfway, because I still have to put my own twist on things.
Well, and not to interrupt you, I want to be clear is that he mentioned originals. What he's done, I've only done cover bands. Which
Yes.
I don't know if you even talked about that.
No, I was gonna say we haven't even really touched on that point yet.
I guess.
But
yeah.
yes, as far as Ed here being the musician, he is the cover side of things, whereas I'm an original musician, I play my own music, and now I'm actually starting to transfer over to the cover side just because it's something to do on a Friday, Saturday night, or any time that I can get out and play.
Or a bike night on Wednesday night.
Right, whatever you got to do, Tuesday night, Monday night.
Right, yeah.
I think it's 4-wheel Thursdays, and it's all-wheel Friday today. Sometimes you just don't know how you're going to get home.
Yeah.
So all wheels is good. But, alright, so we got to the middle portion with you.
And that was, kind of all over the place. In the middle
And it was just all over like the beginning was, but that's cool.
Yeah. We're just winging this right now.
Right, I was going to say, if anybody gets the gist of this, cool. If not, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I'm not going to be like, hey, like and subscribe, guys.
I mean, if you want to, you can.
Yes, please do.
I'm going to be spreading the love on that.
Yeah, just please do if you like it. Please like and subscribe. But other than that, it's not necessary because I'm going to do this regardless because I like to talk.
And that's why I'm doing it too on my end. It's just fun to do this with podcasts and.
Well, and there's also that other, not to get off to a side subject here or anything, but you took. Like I said, this is a podcast about people's passions. It's whatever they do out of their 9 to 5. It's not.
Yeah.
You are known as Ed the Chevy Man.
Oh yeah. So I know what you're saying. My work Facebook page. I get what you're saying.
But that's how when most people introduce themselves, they're like, "What do you do?"
Yeah.
And then you tell them your job. Well, that's not you. That's your job. What do you do? And that's where I'm trying to get at with this podcast. Is what do people do? Because we see, yes, you're known as Ed the Chevy Man. You train.
Chevy trainer, yeah.
Yeah, you train and do this and that, and it's broadcasted. Well, not broadcast, but I mean that's selectively. But yeah, when most people introduce themselves, that like me saying I'm a union painter, this and that. Yeah. That's my job. That's not who I am, and that's what I try to figure out on this podcast is who people are. We've had, what do we think? It was 7 years that we've been.
So maybe I'll take that in the middle somewhere, just to kind of maybe clear that up.
Yeah,
Should I go there?
Yeah. Let's go there.
So in the middle somewhere, I feel like it was in the middle. It definitely was. When I was in between bands or trying to get something going on another project, I had met Mike multiple times, I feel like, or I've been hung out with him. As one time you were maybe hanging out playing bass in McCausland at Chad Grimm's house, the drummer of I honestly feel like that was a situation. And then I was doing a Tool tribute years back, and Mike came out and hung out with that as well.
Yep. So that was supposed to be a singing project for me, and to be honest with that, I never sang in front of anybody in my whole entire life, and when that was going. After coming down and listening to you, I mean, I went home and I was like, okay, these are the Tool songs that I want to go. And it's like, I really wish that would have proceeded further than what it did.
Sure,
but shit happens, you can't always have everything go the way you want to. But yeah, I mean, that really that caught my interest. And then after that, you were still in a cover band. Because I had you come out and play at the bar that I worked at afterwards.
Yes.
And I think it was it might have been a year afterwards.
Was that in Eldridge?
No, that was here in town.
Oh, the one in town. I'm sorry. Yep. I'm thinking of something else.
Here in town.
Yes.
No, you had me come out and see Motorboat and take pictures.
That would have been after it.
Way after.
This was Blackout Unplugged.
Blackout Unplugged. And I think it was probably almost a year after we had met that I was like, okay, I know you're in a cover band. We're looking for material, new people to come out. You want to come out and play? We'll get you on. And had you guys come out. You had me up on stage playing bass with you on a couple songs.
There we go.
I had requested doing Everything I Hate About You by 3 Days Grace,
which was a fall in my wheelhouse.
And that's your wheelhouse, but it was not Mike's. But
that's
Mike, he plugged through it.
It's good that you step out of your comfort zone.
It is. Well, you got to as a musician. You don't grow if you don't step out,
And that's the problem too. Sometimes everybody can be in these ruts and be complacent, as well as everything else in your life too. You can be complacent to some degree.
Very.
But basically, that middle section is where I met Mike. Just to kind of recap that, and then I've known him since then. Lately have been fortunate enough to hang out a little bit more with him, and talk music, do podcasts of my own, and of course this now too. And it's always great to meet great people, especially ones that you can have a friendship with, even if it isn't a constant friendship. I was talking to another musician friend of mine recently, and he's like, you know what? You're the most constant thing in my life. I'm not shitting you. He was drunk, but he's like, I've been through all this, all these other friends and relationships, but man, it's good to be around you. And so I thought that was really nice. If you can build those kind of relationships in what we're doing, whether it's originals, or
anything,
or covers, I think that's really rewarding, and that lands us to situations like this today.
Well, and that comes to a whole point though too, because musicians don't always mold and melt with one another. There's very standoffish guitarists. I'm the bass player. I don't care.
Well, there's bass players out there that are emotional too.
So. Oh, very, very. You tell me what you want. You show me your idea, and I'll try to elaborate. And if it doesn't come down to whatever, and you don't like it, then just teach me how to do what you do.
Yeah.
Don't get mad about it or whatnot, because I'm going to try to take it to my own ability first and fill in, because the bass does not have to be, the bass is the low end. Same with the drums. Those are the only two that have to go together.
Those have to match up.
The guitar, the vocals don't really, the vocals have to match the drums. The guitar has to match the drums to a point. But then you also get those, good reference here is my brother.
Yeah.
The drummers have a hard time playing with him because of his time signature. We've only found one drummer so far that can play with us, and that happened to be the 3 years that we played, but he was a specifically drumline metal drummer. So he did the drumline marching band
the
type
Tool drummer
shit.
was the same situation, yeah.
And it's that's the only way it ever clicked. And I had tried to bring in so many different drummers and doing the original stuff with my brother, because it's not been a one-time thing. We've been trying, I think since I started playing, we've been trying to play in a band, and we've written songs out through the years. Had people try to sing it, and nobody ever came up with anything. My brother's the type of musician, if he can't find people to play with him, he's going to put it all together himself.
Yeah.
He'll sit down with a 16-track recorder,
just do it all himself,
and do it all himself. He don't care.
I'm not quite there yet, unfortunately, but someday.
But
hopefully.
that shows you the dedication to music, though. As you go home, and I guess we're kind of getting off the middle here, but it really don't matter at this point. But so on your off time, when you're not playing shows or doing gigs, you obviously sit down and you practice.
I do. Almost every day.
Well, and you have to. I mean, so what are you practicing when you go and do your practice type of things? Because most of us were the scales, the modes, this and that. When you're learning, now you're playing shows. What do you do to keep up on your skills?
So just to be clear, my skills, I've always been a rhythm guitar player at heart. I've never been a lead player because I haven't felt remember we talked about the music that was my teenage years and all that.
Yeah.
It didn't have a shitload of solos in it. So for me,
and
motivation,
even when it really didn't have leads to the point where now you can hear leads on some things. I hate to bring this up.
Go ahead.
But Metallica.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the 70s, they had solos, riffs,
80s.
all in the 80s, even into the 90s, 91, I think. We'll just drop that bomb right there.
By the way, Metallica, just got in front of it, may have been one of the only exceptions for the 80s music that I could stand to listen to.
Well, yeah.
But go ahead.
But, so, yeah, you had riffs, you had skip, now you're saying that you're predominantly a rhythm type of guy.
I am, yep.
How do you prepare for things because you're obviously taking songs that have leads in it in some areas.
But I'm selective though. I don't play songs I know I can pull off, right?
Yeah, exactly. On the leads. So those are the type of things that you work on when you practice then?
It's not, unfortunately. So the thing is with me is that in the songs that I play, especially at this point in my life, I do a lot of rhythm stuff. I'm focused on rhythm more because the bands I play in are 2 guitar part bands. So I'm making sure I can fill out the sound in that cover band, in that cover song, right? But at the same time, I've done a really good job, and when I had to learn a solo, I could definitely sit down and grind that motherfucker out. Hope it's okay to cuss a lot. So I'm going to grind that motherfucker out, and I'm going to do the best of my ability to replicate that I can. And I'm the kind of guitar player that I've always been hard on myself, and I always want to make sure it sounds. I know you're more like you said, just what can I do to make it work, right? For me, my thing is, because I got some OCD underlying issues, and it really bugs me if I can't, but I try to make it as close to the original as possible.
And I know we talked, and it's I'm on the opposite side about it. You gotta do what you gotta do to make it feel good for you.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So as a musician, I didn't learn how to. I learned how to read music. I learned how to look at music. But my big thing was being able to feel music. Like, me and my brother are two opposite people.
You think that has to do with being an original player at heart too?
I kind of think that it does, because like when I talk originals, like I played metal originals, so it was technical. It was all this type of shit that really, when somebody from the outside that's not into that genre stuff, because I mean even the harder stuff that you probably don't listen to is where I'm talking like death metal, like Cannibal Corpse, like that's the type of shit that I looked at and tried to go play on bass. You know, the harder, the faster, the heavier, the better.
So just to follow up on like what am I practicing, what's my regiment? I've always listened to harder stuff, and even today, I love the stuff that I really love to listen to isn't even what I play. And I've always been a big fan of a few select groups and guitar players that I can never replicate, but I'm okay with that because I think it's all.
And I agree with you too on there. Is I grew up listening to a lot of different music. I was not ever particular like. Yeah, there's a few that I do not like, and I'll make it known. And it's this pop country of today.
Oh Jesus!
And then this
that's a whole other podcast.
Rap,
country, and all that stuff.
Yeah, we could just have a whole podcast of trash and country and rap.
Maybe in the future when I come back we can do that.
Yeah, we can. I guess because remember, I also have another podcast that I want to start. It's called "What Grinds My Fucking Gears." Jesus Christ.
So I guess for the guitar player that I always envisioned myself, I always wanted to be, speaking of Metallica, I wanted to be the James Hetfield. I wanted to be the best rhythm player I could. That's what I wanted to be known for, and I've told that to other friends. So being the best rhythm player like Hetfield, and not on the singing side, but being able to play rhythms to the fucking T, but also be able to throw in those leads to help kind of complete that.
If you needed to fill in.
If I needed to do that. And that's what I always wanted to be. And for me as a guitar player, when I'm practicing, because you asked, what do I do? You know, how am I... So unfortunately, as of lately, because I've been in the solo acoustic realm too, I've just been basically trying to learn and polish it, because a lot of the songs when I'm strumming these, they have the same fucking chords, just in different order. So I'm trying to remember, you know.
Oh yeah.
But
well, and that's one thing that I've noticed too with me even transferring over and starting to play those covers and stuff, that I'm finding songs that have the same note patterns like constantly, and it's like, well, this is confusing to me as far as a bass player, because if you don't give me names and you just start in, well, there's like 3 other songs that, well, we'll put it this way: Gin Blossom's "Hey Jealousy," Skid Row, "I Remember You," and "Far Behind."
They're all the same ones.
They're all the same chord. They're all the same chord progression, and it's like they're just variations of how it's played, or the timing's a little bit different, but it's like, yeah, it's very confusing as a person that's coming into it and not playing covers, not learning on cover type things. And it's very difficult, you said here saying a lot of these strumming songs that you're doing, it's a lot of the same chord, it's a different progression of the chord. To me, it's very confusing, because then I could get lost in anywhere, and especially if they're consistent all the way through, where the main chordage is the same as the verse chord, or not the verse, but like the chorus, just a reverse opposite of it, because
different pattern, different order.
Yeah, different order of the pattern, because
same chord or
same chords. Yeah, just a different pattern of how it's played or strummed, or however you want to look at it. Mine would be plucked, but I mean, with bass, I get into various type of things. Like, I have to figure out how to slap and pop some things sometimes. And I will say, as a guitarist that went to a bass player, don't ever say the bass is an easy instrument to play, because that's not. It's not. Most people are like, "Oh, you play bass."
Well,
one finger. No, go look at some of these professional bass players out there and see what the fuck they do. There's some crazy ass shit.
So lately, besides strumming those chords, I mean, I still do play electric guitar too, because I got to stay fresh with my electric band riffs and everything. The nice thing is, because I've been playing as long as I have I'm really quick about learning songs. So if there's a new song, I can learn it quickly, accurately, electric or acoustic for chords, and then notes, riffs on electric guitar. But
I know, go ahead and I'll have you finish your thought. But after you finish this thought, Tell me the variation of learning. I know we've talked about this before on how you learn. Yeah, how you learn how to things. But go ahead and finish the thought of where you're at.
So I'm not a note reader. I can't read music. I mean, I did for piano back in high school, so we did piano/guitar. But I'm in the age of the generational group where tablature, guitar tab, is really what I started with on guitar, and it really does. It works. All the tab books that I bought, like the published tab books, some of them aren't right, and I got
to a point because I've noticed that too. Some are good.
Fucking rock,
oh yeah, right on
solid.
key.
So there's been a couple I've seen interviews before with artists. They actually help these Alfred and
Mel Bain.
They actually help the companies get the right notes in place, which is cool.
Well, a lot of it when they were starting out doing those type of books, you also got to remember they were doing MIDI. They so an eighth note on the if you get those programs like a big one that I use since we're on the tab thing, I use Tab Pro.
Yeah.
So it gives me a play out of the song and it shows the tabs, which is nice, if you're trying to learn something. But it's like you listen to that and then you listen to the real song and it's like, I don't get how that sounds like that, but it's like you got a computer generated and then you have actual guitars playing something.
So for me, it's been a combination of tabs though and learning by ear. And the learning by ear never happened from the beginning, obviously. Yeah. That's one of those things over time you realize, and I don't even just mean like basic chords, but I mean like even some riffs I was able to dictate and determine what was right. What really helps, I think, in our day and age that more guitar players need to take advantage of instead of relying on basic user-generated tabs like on Ultimate Guitar is besides the Tab Pros and other programs that I've used, fucking watch a live video. So YouTube is a great resource.
It's a very...
When I started, it wasn't as helpful as it is today because you can find live videos of all these bands playing these songs and you can basically steal right from the videos. So lately in the past, let's say 5 years, I've relied a lot on just watching live videos.
Yep. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, not to get on my situation on this one, but I mean, after having my injury and shit, and basically relearning how to play my instruments, I can't go watch those YouTube videos and be like, oh yeah, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
It takes me a little bit, and not saying that, oh yeah, there needs to be something out there with somebody that has not that type of thing. What it is taking the initiative to learn how to try to play the basics of it. One thing that I love the most, and this will really throw people off, but the video game generation of fucking guitar playing. So like Guitar Hero was horrible. Yeah. Guitar Hero was horrible. So anybody could play guitar at that point in time. Nah. The cool game that came out that really was buggy as fuck and was not the greatest was that Rocksmith.
And I do have that.
And it taught you. Well, the
newer version.
The newer version got better. Got better. Yep. Got a lot better. But I had the original version, and it did a pretty good job of giving you the basic layout of a song. And then the further you progressed into it, they'd start to throw more shit into you to get it a little bit more adapted to the bass line or the guitar line, which was nice because to take that and, we got Rock Band, we got Guitar Hero, and it's like, but as a musician, it's like, I really want to play the guitar.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so then they brought out this game. Yeah, was it the best? No, but like you said, it got better throughout the years, and I'm sure
newer version. It's pretty awesome. Remember I talked about the artists contributing to the tab books?
Yes.
Well, now I see where they're helping contribute. They're helping contribute to Rocksmith, the newest version.
They should. They should.
They're legit when people are even like helping, promote on their social medias. Be like, hey, we just released our pack on the newest.
Yep. Go check it out. This and that.
Yeah. Because it's legit. So
exactly.
And that's a great resource for anybody if they want to sit down, if they like video games and they want to learn. That's a great way they can do it.
Yeah, because that does definitely bring in two things. It brings in the hand and eye coordination. Plus, that game there gives you more. I think the only program that I could probably say that would be close to what Rocksmith is, that would not be a video game, would be that Musician.
Oh yeah.
I've used them before. They're pretty good, but they didn't have the selection when I used them as far as like bringing songs on to learn. You're basically stuck with what they had on their things.
But Rocksmith keeps adding them.
And yes, and musicians started adding in. Now they do piano, they do bass, they do ukulele. But when they first started, they were just strictly guitar, and it had a minimal selection of library that you could actually pick out of. And this was probably about the same time that Rocksmith was coming out.
Sure. So the songs I'm going to play for you when we're done with this portion, the first one I'm going to cover a Deftones song called Root, and that one was back in the day when I didn't really have very solid resources. I knew tablature and I could read that, so I'd rely on Ultimate Guitar back in the day for user submitted tabs.
All right, so you were the printer. You were the printer tablature, huh?
And you know what? If I can show you that in your house,
I got right notebooks.
Yeah.
Notebooks full. Can I play any of them songs? Probably not. Probably not.
And were most of them right? Fuck, no, they weren't. But it was something you could sit down and it kept you motivated to play. So I guess
it gave you something to look at too.
It did.
Because really, when it came down to it, it was all about memorization, especially for the music that I play. Like, so if we did learn any type of trying to play Lamb of God type, that was some difficult shit to try to learn, and then to be like, okay, I got to do this 4 times, and then switch and do this pattern 8 times. And it's like, oh my god, this is like classical music with one instrument.
So the song I'm going to play, getting back to that though, the first one I'm going to play, obviously I've relearned to play it the right way, but the second song I'm going to play is a combination of me listening and learning, and also utilizing live videos too from YouTube, like we talked about, which is really a great resource. And I hope that it'd be fun to play those and think when we're going through those 2 songs, old Deftones, new, this Collective Soul song I'm going to play. It's amazing. As a guitar player, I remember the second song, the Collective Soul one, it's all picking and stuff. And I remember the biggest picking song as a cover musician, my first one where it was barely any chords in the whole song. It was all literally picking out chords.
Yeah.
It was a song by Verve Pipe called The Freshman. And that was like my Achilles heel for years. And I kept with it because we played it in Blackout Unplugged, like 6 years ago when we started playing that song, and I could never get it perfect, but I kept with it. And it goes back to that kids these days don't stick with anything. It shows though, if you can continuously push yourself to get better, the reward is so great. That reward, when you finally reach that point where you don't even have to look and you're picking out everything and not missing a single note, it's that point where I'm like, honestly, this is all I need. It's all I need to feel that and know that I'm not going to get anywhere as a professional musician outside. Because I have like you said, what do you do when you're not working, right? To me, that's the most rewarding thing, knowing I can sit down anytime and pluck out not just that Verve Pipe, the Freshman song, Verve Pipe, the Freshman song,
but any of the songs that you play in your repertoire.
The second song I'm going to play, right? Just be able to pick through those. And so I'm really looking forward to playing those for you.
I'm looking forward to hearing those and sharing those with anybody that's willing to watch.
Yeah, hopefully, right?
They should be.
Subscribe and like, and this obviously is going to be on YouTube, right?
YouTube, might be on Facebook.
I guess I don't
know how to do anything on Instagram because I'm not that cool.
Before I drag this out too much longer, I don't know what you're wanting to keep this to for the first one, but I will tell you this, is that, so we get past the middle part. Today, like you asked, what am I doing to learn?
Yep.
I'm doing the YouTube live videos. I'm utilizing some programs, not relying on just basic user submitted tabs anymore. I'm using my ear still, which I could never do before. And I'm quickly able to pick out songs and learn them for the bands that I'm in or the solo acoustic one I'm in. I still love bands. He mentioned Lamb of God. The bands that I listen to that I know I can never touch, like Lamb of God and some of these harder metal, newer rock stuff, and that's what I listen to. I'm okay with not being able to just rip on and shred because that's not who I am as a musician.
You don't feel the music that way.
Well, and even if, I do to some degree, when I sit down and play some of it, but even though I need to have some type of enjoyment, I think every musician needs to have this too, where you reach a point where you know you can play, even if you can't do everything that's out of reach, maybe down the line, not today, but at some point, it's going to be that next step for you. For me, even though I'm complacent with where I'm at, that's all I ever set out to be anyway.
you achieved what you wanted to.
I've achieved a lot, and I feel like I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and still be happy with what I'm doing all the way until I can't fucking play that guitar anymore. And then...
Well, hopefully you're like 90 and arthritic and on your final deathbed when you can't play no more.
And we'll still be jamming somewhere. That's all that matters. As long as you're having fun, everybody, that's
Hell,
all
we're gonna
that
write a song about jamming in heaven.
If you believe in that. And I don't want to get into religion, but...
We ain't getting into that. It's just a cop-out.
I know, but it's he's got a point though, right? It's a complete good way to look at things. So yeah, I'm looking forward to jamming these songs, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing.
And maybe in the future, and we'll go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Nope, go ahead and say
And if I didn't cover anything, or if we get back together again with this, and you want to do another thing with me, like this on your podcast, I'm more than happy to dig deeper.
Yeah,
I may have forgotten a lot of things, not because I'm drunk, just because. I want to be clear before he sits back down. If you've seen me going down like this and doing stuff with my hands, it's
dog.
It's the dude. I'm just
the dude.
giving the dude some ear scratches is what I'm doing.
All right, so we will top this off. Finish the night out on this podcast. But you, as a person, as a musician, if somebody was going to get into what you do, playing, doing, covers or what would be your best piece of advice that you could give somebody that's trying to learn how to play music?
It's a great question. So this is what I would tell anybody who's wanting to get into an instrument. Stick with it. Find something that motivates you to continue. Even if it isn't every day, if you can, and I got a friend that I've been doing joint drum and guitar lessons with.
Mm-hmm.
He's teaching me drum stuff, I'm teaching him guitar stuff. You can find something that you really enjoy playing. That's the motivation you need to keep going.
Good.
You need to find that motivation to practice at least a couple, not every day even if you're new, but find a few times a week. You don't even have to be in a band at first, but like I did, there was a long time before I was even in bands.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can find a way to stay motivated and push yourself a little bit at a time, and you don't have to spend big money on a Paul Reed Smith or a sweet, tube amplifier. Someday you'll be able to reward yourself with that, and you'll feel pretty good about it, and you'll feel like, I deserve this because I put in the time, and that's why I'm here today.
That's good enough to end on right there, bud. Well, buddy, I appreciate it. We're going to get to your songs that you're going to play for me, and we'll put it at the end of the video here so everybody can see it too. But, man, I appreciate you being on here and sharing your passion. That's good, bud.
No problem. And I don't even know if I scratched the surface a little bit, but I
probably not. I think we could go a little deeper, but for the first one, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
this is pretty good.
I had a good time, man.
I did too, bud. I did too.
One more final toast. I'm gonna drink after this one too.
Yes,
okay?
we're going to.
Let's get out the guitar and let's play a little bit.
All right. Next time you see him, he'll be playing guitar. You're good. nice.
I can say this life is much better today. Everything turns right if wrong gets in the way. Yeah, and I've got this feeling it's something I find hard to explain. See, I wasn't looking, but girl, I'm glad I fell in your way. And she said, oh boy, count your lucky stars, 'cause I'm the one you've been wishing for. Oh boy, count the life you live, count how you are now adored. I can say the sun burns much brighter today. I can see my path though clouds darken my way. Yeah, and I've got this feeling it's something I find hard to explain. See, I wasn't looking, but girl, I'm glad I fell in your way. And she said, oh boy, count your lucky stars, 'cause I'm what you've been wishing for. Oh boy, count the life you live, count how you are now adored. She said she's tired of watching me just wilt and bleed. She said I'm like Jesus, I save those who do believe. Do ya believe? Yeah, and I've got this feeling it's something I find hard to explain. See, I wasn't looking, but girl, I'm glad I fell in your way. And she said, oh boy, count your lucky stars, 'cause I'm what you've been wishing for. Oh boy, count the life you live, count how you are now adored. Oh boy, count your lucky stars, 'cause I'm what you've been wishing for. Oh boy, count the life you live, count how you are now adored.
I missed it by like